Is it possible to earn enough money from part-time jobs to support tuition fees in Canada? Can we meet our daily expenses and tuition fees with a part-time job in Canada? Can I earn and support my studies in Canada with 20 hours per week of work? Can I support my studies with part-time job, assuming I can pay my first year's tuition? I have seen this question coming up over and over again on the Quora app. So I decided to share my story about how I was able to pay my tuition and living expenses while I was an international student in Canada. Make sure you watch this video to the very end because I'm going to be running some numbers to determine if this is still a possibility in 2022. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's your girl Roselyn. I'm here to talk to you about if it's possible to pay your tuition and living expenses while you work part-time as a student in Canada. In some of my previous video, I mentioned a couple of times that I got my student visa with an admission from Centennial College. The truth is that I changed my DLI after I got to Canada because I got admitted into New Brunswick Community College, which was $6,003 per year. That was the tuition fee for the whole year for an international student. Guys, it was a steal. So I packed my bag after I got to Ontario and I moved down to New Brunswick because of the tuition fee. And ever since, I've enjoyed living in New Brunswick. So was I able to pay my tuition fees? Yes, let's talk about the numbers. I feel like for you to really understand how I was able to do it, we are going to have to break down some numbers. The first thing I'm going to talk about now is my income. The very first job I got after moving to New Brunswick was with UPS as an admin assistant, and it was an off-campus job, so I was only allowed to work 20 hours. So thankfully, I got a sheet that was going to work with my college timetable. Guys, I was working in the midnight, 10 to 2 a.m. every day. Oh God, when you think about that, like where has time gone? Anyway, let's go back to the video. So I was earning about 12.75 per hour, and at the end of the week, I work 20 hours. After tax, they pay you bi-weekly, right? So I earn about $400, and then at the end of the month, I earn about $800. Because I had my weekends to myself, I was still single as at that time. To get busy, I took another job on campus this time, and that job was paying minimum wage. I got a shift that could accommodate 15 hours per week, and they were paying $11.50. So that one was giving me around $500 extra per month. So at the end of the month, I had $1,003 in income. Keep in mind that it's not just $1,003 alone. There are times I work overtime on my on-campus job, and I was able to make about $1,500 or $1,800 in a month. For instance, during the Christmas holiday, I took extra shifts with UPS too. There was time, guys, so I was just making extra money to just make sure that I'm saving enough in order to take care of my tuition and living expenses. Let's move on to my monthly expenses. After removing all expenses, sometimes in a month I have about a $700 saved, $1,000 saved. So I didn't have a car, I didn't have all those expenses that will actually take money away from me as a student. I was saving religiously. If you have watched the video up to this extent and you are not a subscriber, guys, please subscribe. Thank you. They said I should tell you to share too. Thank you. So how was I able to pay my tuition and my living expenses with a part-time job? First, I want you to understand that I had my first semester's fees available. I paid my first semester tuition fee before I started working. I already paid that to MBCC. The money that I was saving was actually towards my second semester fees and living expenses. So how did I do it? Number one, I would like to point out the fact that I was attending one of the lowest tuition fee schools in Canada, which is New Brunswick Community College, and the tuition fee as at that time was $6,003 per year. All I needed for my second semester fee was about 3,500 Canadian dollars. It's kind of easy to come by if you are working part-time, but if you are looking to raise times 2 of that amount, that means you are going to be working really hard, like harder than I was, and you just need to get the balance between working and studying. The second reason why I think I was able to do this was because I was single at that time. I was only fending for myself. Every income I was earning was used to take care of myself. I'm frugal by nature, guys. I didn't have any lifestyle that was taking lots of money from my account each month. I maintained a frugal lifestyle while I was in school because I had a goal of saving enough money to be able to pay my second semester school fees. So What I would advise is that, because it's easy to feel like as if you have arrived after you get to Canada, you think that Canada will just work for you. You have to also be hardworking if you want to try and pay your tuition and living expenses on a part-time job. The third reason why I think I was able to do it was because there was availability of on-campus jobs. In some colleges and universities, the on-campus jobs, they are sometimes hard to come by. I got lucky because in addition to my off-campus job of work on campus, I was able to pick up more shit as they become available. If you are going to be attending a university or college that doesn't have a lot of options for on-campus jobs, that might be a problem, and you might not be able to pay your tuition fees while you're studying, because you are going to only be able to work for 20 hours a week. Whereas when you work on campus, you can work for as long as you like, as far as you have the time. The third reason, I was very disciplined. I was relentless. I told myself that I will make sure that I work to pay my tuition and living expenses so that I won't have to bother my sponsor back home. And I was able to do it because of my level of discipline. If you are somebody that is hardworking, you are a go-getter, and you can put in the work, then I think you will be able to do it. Now, the next section of this video will be breaking down the numbers for 2022 to see if it is still achievable for somebody that is coming to study in Canada in 2022. Guys, for the 2022 numbers, we are going to have to do a recorded version of this because I wanted to show you the numbers and how I came up with the numbers, and if I think that in 2022 you will be able to pay your tuition and living expenses with a part-time job. So let's get to it. For this presentation, I'm going to be assuming that you're going to a province with the highest minimum wage, and which is going to be British Columbia as of July 2022. These are some of my assumptions. You live in BC, you work 20 hours per week during school, you work 40 hours per week when school is out of session. Your income when school is in session is 15.65 per hour. You work 20 hours per week, and for 32 weeks you earn this. Same goes for when school is not in session, you earn this. So at the end of the year, your gross income is going to be 22,000 Canadian dollars. This is not your take-home pay, guys. In Canada, I'm sure you know that taxes are very, very important. The government, we have to take their cut from your pay. I'm going to be using this payroll calculator to calculate our pay for the year. So you just enter your gross income in this per year, annual, and where do you work, British Columbia. You calculate it, and at the end of the year we have $17,491. Your gross income is roughly $22,000, but your net income is $17,000. You take your living expenses. Rent, guys, is the highest expense per month in Canada. For your non-rent expense, I didn't just assume this amount. I actually googled living expenses for international students in BC, and I found this link that the University of British Columbia has. It's a cost of living link. So let's see. It says, are you a domestic student? You write international. Please select the program you plan to study. I don't think that this matters for what we want to do, but for the purpose of doing it, let's just choose Masters in Business Analytics. I will live in Vancouver on my own. Like, I'm assuming you're single here and you don't have children. As an international student, I'm sure in one of my past videos, I've advised you that don't go for one bedroom apartment. Share room first until you begin to earn more money, and live off campus, because on campus is very, very expensive. Do you plan to own your own car? I didn't own my car when I was a student. My first year of study, I bought one after 1 year, but for your first year of studies, guys, don't own cars yet. Guys, see what I saw here. Housing, 901. BC must be really, really expensive, but I went conservative here that if you are sharing a room, there's no way you're paying 901. But I'll be happy if you can share with me in the comment section. If you're already in Canada and you live in BC, do houses really go as high as 900 for a shared room in BC? Oh, that would be crazy. But anyway, for the purpose of this calculation, I used a conservative amount of $750 per month. And for 12 months, you're going to be paying $9,000. And your other non-rent expenses, which are the total of all this year, is, I put it at $600 per month. For 12 months, that's $6,000. So in total, you'll be spending roughly around $15,000 on living expenses only. So on a yearly basis, you are only going to be saving $2,491. We are in 2022 now, and the inflation just keeps rising and is not even keeping up with wages. And also the fact that the dollar to naira exchange has tripled since I got to Canada. To ensure that the study permit route is still the best option for your immigration to Canada, I would advise that you have enough money saved towards this pursuit. When you get to Canada, when you start working, you know that the income you earn from working part-time is just the icing on the cake. But for those of my folks, you know yourself, you know that you're very hardworking, you're a go-getter, you know that if you set your mind to something, you can get it done if you really want it done. Then my advice will be for you to have your first year's fees saved, so that when you come to Canada, every income that you earn is just towards your living expenses, because Canada is becoming expensive, and as a student you are likely not going to get high paying jobs. You might just get minimum wage jobs, and you are even now working part-time. At the end of the day, you might not get enough money from your income, and you might not be able to pay your tuition. You likely will be able to pay for your living expenses. My advice is that if you want to come to Canada as a student in 2022, at least have your tuition paid for, because it's not easy to work as a student. So I don't know how you are going to manage if you have that pressure to pay your tuition and your living expenses of a part-time income. Let's do things the right way, guys. Pay your first year's tuition, so that you know that by the time you come, it's only living expenses that you'll be bothered with. So that's my 2 cents for you guys. I hope you gained 1 or 2 valuable lessons from this video. On a final note, I want to wish you guys all the best in your application. I'm looking forward to celebrating your success with you, and I hope to see you in Canada soon. Bye.